Right. For Tom Baker era, it's actually a lot of stories because he had the Doctor for 7 years. 7 years season over that why he's wow. I say second most popular Doctors. I know most popular Doctor in Classic Who, and then most popular New Who with 8-10, obviously. Right then. Start with Robot. Yeah, a very good introduction for Tom Baker as a Doctor. And I like the design for the robot. I thought it looked cool on it. So yeah, good story. That is the Arkan Base Special Edition. Really like this story. Next up is the Sontaran Experiment, which is it's alright story. It's only a 2-parter, so it should have been 4-parter. So they actually rushed it. Because on the set that Tom Baker broke his arm during the set, I think. So that's why they're doing a 2-parter, I think. So yeah, it's alright story. And then next up is Genesis of the Daleks. And yes, it says #1 Doctor Who story ever, which is not anymore thanks to Doctor Who magazine. So yeah, it's no longer #1. So if you want to know what #1 is, so you'll find out soon. So yeah, it's actually fantastic story and introduction to Davros, who created the Daleks, and they show the origin of Daleks. So yeah, and what is it? Who's the actor? It's Michael something. Michael Fisher, I think. Is it Michael Fisher who played Davros? Yeah, I say it's Michael Fisher who played Davros. He did it really, really well done at Davros. No shame he didn't return for more role as Davros. So yeah, fantastic story. Next up is Revenge of the Cybermen. I say it's one of the weakest Cybermen story, in my opinion, because of I don't find it enjoyable really, and I find it a bit boring. And because their last appearance was in the Invasion, which is a long way to introduce them again. And yeah, that's their only appearance until the 5th Doctor era. So again, another long wait for Cybermen. And then next up is Terror of the Saigons. We start with season 13, in my opinion. Season 13 actually my favourite season in Tom Baker era, because it's all focused on horror type stories. So yeah, it starts with Terror of the Saigons. So yeah, again, and it's a great story introducing the Saigons, and the only appearance in Doctor Who until 50th anniversary, which is a very, very long way to see Saigons again. So yeah, a great story. And also a last appearance for Brigadier until 5th Doctor era. So it's not kind of like his final appearance. So it's kind of like taking a break for playing the Brigadier for a while. Next up is Planet of Evil. Here's a good story, kind of like Mr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of story. Rebecca, one of the professor, triggers him and turn into evil being. So you know what I mean? So yeah. So good story. Next up is Pyramid of Mars, which is another great story, and introduced it to Sutek, a great villain, and hopefully they might bring back New Who. So which they should have, because everybody wants to see him back. As a villain. So yeah, great story. Next up is the Android Invasion. Part 1 is actually really great episode, and the rest of it is alright, and it's all about the Doctor and Sarah Jane arriving in the village, which is so quiet. There's no one about, barely. And they're all replaced with androids. I forgot why, because I've not seen it since last year, so yeah, I say it's a good story. I say we kids out the season 13. Next up, the Brain of Morbius. Well, thanks to the timeless children happening in Series 12. And and because of this story, it's kind of confirmed-ish that there's a scene that the Doctor and Morbius shows that, well, it shows that different faces on Doctor, they kind of confirmed-ish. So yeah, because of this story, because of Series 12 finale happened, so yeah, so it's a great story. It's a Frankenstein story. So yeah, I really like this story. Next up is the Seeds of Doom. Again, a great story. I really like this one. And also, it has the actor who plays Boise from Only Four Horses, who recently passed away, not long ago this year. So yeah. So yeah, he's in this story as a hunchman. So yeah, he's good in this one, and yeah, it's a great story. And the fourth Doctor turned dark and that, and because he yells a bit, and then he yells a bit, and then punching bad guys like a Doctor don't usually do. So yeah, I think the fourth Doctor went dark in this story. So yeah, I really liked it. I really like this story. Next up is the Max of Mandragora, which is it's alright story. It kind of bit of struggle watching this, really, because I know it's set in historical story, and yeah, I find it yeah, I say it's a weak out of season 14, really. Next up is The Hand of Fear, the final appearance of Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith in Classic Who, and didn't return until another anniversary special, and return again in New Who. So yeah, I like this story. I know most people don't like it for some reason. Yeah, I like this story. I find it the good ending to Sarah Jane as a companion. So yeah, I like this story. Dub is the Assassin, and it's set mostly in Gallifrey, and a Return of the Master in Crispy Nook. And yeah, and then in the story, the Doctor gets framed for assassinate the president of the Time Lords, and then the Doctor gets framed for it. And yeah, it's a great story. Yeah, it's actually the best story for season 14. Next up is The Face of Evil, Introduction to Leela. And it's a good story, just good story. Next up is The Wobbles of Death, Special Edition. And I really like this story because it's a murder mystery type of story. And I watched all the way through without struggling at all. So yeah, I really like this story so much. Next up is the Tions of Wang Chang Special Edition. Another great story written by Robert Holmes, and a great finale for season 13. Set in Victorian times and Doctor dressed like Sherlock Holmes, which is kind of funny, really. So yeah, a great story, in my opinion. Next to season 15, next to Horror of Fengrong, which is a very good story, and introduced to Wutons, who is enemies of the Zontarans, who look like a green blob. Is that what they look like, I guess? So yeah, very good story, because it's in the lighthouse in the foggy day. Yeah, very good story. Next up is The Invisible Enemy, introduced to K9, which is in my opinion, I really love K9, really. So I like this story. I know people don't like it, so I like it, really, because of K9 in it. So don't hate me for this, but it is my opinion for this story. So I like this story. Alright. Next up is Image of Fandol. I find it most struggling to watch. Really. I think I'm not too keen to this story, I think, so that's why I struggle to watch this. Next up is The Sun Makers. Good story. Next up is Underworld. Yep, don't want to talk about that. Next up is The Invasion of Time, set again in Gallifrey. That felt like a sequel to The Deadly Assassin. And yeah, it's a very good story. And this is a story how the Doctor becomes the president of the Time Lords. And the first 3 episodes, I think it was, that the Doctor become odd, like he become like evil or something, like for a bit, and then turns out he worked for I don't know what they called, and then the Sontarans appearance in halfway through, so it kind of like Sontaran story, but it's set in Gallifrey. So yeah, a very good story. Now next up is the Key to Time storyline. To start with the White Box operation. Good story. To start with Key to Time. Next up is the Pirate Planet. Very good story. Next up is the Stones of Blood, which is everybody not too keen to this story, so I like it. I like the story. The Androids of Tara. I really like this story because what's the name? Is Kate Mar? No, Mary Temp has play different roles. He has Romana and the princess as well. So yeah, very good story. Also, I forgot to mention the Key to Time introduced to Romana 1, and the Invasion Time is a departure for Leela, so I forgot to mention it. Right, next up is the Power Crawl, which is definitely the weakest out of this box set, because I don't like the green people. They look like they painted them in painted green with the silly outfit on, but I like the design for the Crawl. So yeah, I like it. I like the design of it. And then lastly, for the finale, the Armageddon Factor. Quite good story, but it has the actress there, who played the princess in this story, but will be played by Romana 2 in the next story. So yeah, quite good story. And now for season 17. Yeah. Nectar is definitely the Daleks. In my opinion, it's alright story. They introduced to Romana 2, played by Lana Ward, which is, I just remembered that name now. And there's this scene, which I find it really silly, is that Romana regenerate anytime she wants, and then regenerate it back. But I find it really stupid idea, because that's not how it works for regeneration. So yeah, it's alright story. Next up is City of Death, a great story, and it had a great villain, which is this guy, and a great story. And also I said mostly in Paris in the story as well. And then next up is The Creature from a Pit, and the story has a weird scene, which I'm not gonna say, because if you have seen it, you know what I mean. So I like this story. Really, my guilty pleasure. I quite enjoyed it. Next up is Nightmare of Eden, which is alright story. Next up is The Horns of Nimon. Again, I'm not too keen to this story. Next up is the final story, which is unfinished story, but they have finished it, which is part original footage and animation. Shada, which is it would be better if it is like they put it in 6 parts, not in movie version. They've done it in movie version, but I heard that they do 6-parter in the season 17 box set, which is I find it annoying now. So very good story, good animation. So yeah, this is the complete for season 17. And now for the final season for Tom Baker, start with this piece of crap. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything about this. Next up is Megalodon. For the first time when I watched it, I find it really enjoyable. Because for no reason, I find it really enjoyable. And they brought back the actress who plays Barbara in the William Hartnell era, and she played by I forgot what her name is, her right there, and play a different role. And she's good in it, and I find this more enjoyable in my guilty pleasure story in season 18. Next up is Eastbase Trilogy. Start with Full Circle, introduced to Adric. It's alright story. Next up is Decay, which has vampires in it. It's actually the best out of the trilogy. Next up is Warrior's Gate. It's alright story. And also the final appearance for Romana 2 and K9, K9 Mod 2, that is. Next up is The Keeper of Traken. A very good story, and introduced to Nessa, and also introduced to Anthony Ainley, who briefly played the Master in the end. So a very good story. And lastly, and not least, is Locopolis. In which I finally said that proper, because mostly I said Locopolis, Locopolis. I keep saying that mostly, but I finally said it proper now, which is Locopolis. So it's actually a great final story for Tom Baker. And yeah, so he had a very good run as a Doctor. So yeah, great story. Right, that's it for the Tom Baker era. Years. Right, next up is Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor.